Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric. We got a fun and exciting episode for you guys this Friday because on Monday I received my FZ-1 optical disc emulator made by Fixel. I'm going to be talking about it, reviewing it, showing you how to install it, and telling you whether or not you should pick one up yourself. And spoiler alert, you should, because the 3DO is the best console ever made. And if you want to write 3DO sucks in the comments, by all means go ahead, feed that algorithm, it needs its blood. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But I followed along the progress of Fixel making this because we are members of the same 3DO Discord, where everyone kind of throws ideas off of each other to see what would be cool. And Fixel just knows things that I don't understand whatsoever. He is a wizard when it comes to electronics, but fair warning, I am friends with him, at least for the far the internet's concerned, so I'm going to be reviewing this maybe ever so slightly harsher, because I want you guys to trust if I say it's good, and it is, that you will believe me. But my FZ-1 has a bad CD-ROM drive that broke within the last week of making this video, so this is going to be even better. The timing is perfect. But it's a small, nice looking board. I wish the solder mask was maybe pink, just kind of to match the color of the channel. Fixel really could have made me happy there, but he did not. But you'll see here, it's a pretty simple board, but what it does is incredible. You have these two connectors for the ribbon cables, we'll get into shortly. It works with USB drives as well as micro SD cards. I'm going to go the micro SD route. That's what I use for all my optical disc emulators and pretty much all my media, but you can use that USB port as well. You're also going to use that to set it up, which we'll get into momentarily. But it's a nice clean looking board, and it's been soldered to perfection because he had machines do this. This is not a handmade project. Just be aware that one of those connectors has a physical bail, and I see so many times when people try to install stuff, they don't realize that those have actual retention mechanisms, so don't just go to try to jam the cord in there. We will get to that shortly though. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 256 gigabyte SanDisk Ultra. It's probably a little faster than this board needs, but honestly I use a lot of these for cameras and different devices that require it. You can totally go that USB route though. Just be aware that my setup guide is dependent upon a micro SD card, but honestly the procedure is identical. All the changes is the actual physical media. Be careful when you put those cards in, it's soldered well, but I find these cans always a little bit, don't go Hulk strong on them. And you will need a male-to-male USB A to A cable. I have a bunch, but that's a cable that you don't usually see that often. I'll leave a link down below if you need to pick one up. They're like $5 mono price on Amazon. Now what you're seeing here is not going to be necessary when you receive your optical disc emulator, but this is still in preview, so we're just going to show you what happens, kind of how the sausage gets made, because we need to actually add a different file over onto this flashable drive. When you receive yours, I've talked to Fixel and it will already be set up. You're just going to have to do step 2, but that's the fun part about testing this hardware. Things do change. And it's great that you're going to receive yours if you order one ready to go, missing this first step. But I do like showing you guys how things get made, because so often these products ship and they're completely done, and a lot of people are curious how it actually functions or how things get taken care of in the background. So being able to show you a little bit of the preview process is always fun, but just remember, when you get yours, this step is pointless, but it is fun to watch. Just remember, just don't forget to put the card back. We haven't put anything on the card yet, so let me teach you how to do that. Again, ultra simple. Go ahead and pop that blank card in and format it. Now make sure you get the right drive letter. Please don't leave me a comment saying you formatted an external drive that's got all your favorite photos on it. Every single time I show someone how to format something, I get a comment like that. If you're using a large capacity drive, which I recommend, Fixel has asked that you format it in exFAT. That is going to be apparently the best version of that file system. And you can name the volume whatever you want. I'm doing 3D ODE because that just seems kind of kitschy and charming. Go ahead and hit start. It's going to ask you, do you want to proceed? And like I said, don't hold me responsible if you format the wrong drive. Check your drive designation letters, hit OK, and that was in real time, instantaneous. Now we have a second file, boot.iso or ISO. We need to drag that over to our SD card that we just formatted, and that will get everything set up. It's compatible with ISO images, or you can use redump from archive.org. All you need to do is drag the folder over to the root of that card we set up. You don't need to folderize it, that's just how I'm doing it. But once those all copy over, just go ahead and eject that drive. you can just pull the stick out of the computer. It never breaks in my experience, but I'm going to tell you to do it the right way. Just use eject. But now that we have that card with some games on it, the most important feature of an optical disc emulator is the games you want to play, but just pop it back in that board, and let's get to the installation process. It is quite easy, but there are a lot of screws. There's no soldering, but if you just follow along, you will be fine. On the bottom of the FZ-1, there are 4 Phillips head screws in these 4 recessed holes, and through the magic of editing, I'm not going to make you watch me turn a screwdriver, you'll get these 4 long black screws out. Put them aside. Not every single screw in this teardown is the same size, and you do not want to put them back in the wrong screw bosses or end up punching it through a PCB. Keep track of your screws. When you get to the lid lifting stage, this plastic is old, and if you haven't been there in a while, it could be a little bit sticky. Again, don't go Hulk strong, give it a little bit of finesse, it will pop off, and then you will see what we're going to be pulling out and replacing. Now, the carriage or mount for the CD-ROM drive has 6 screws. 4 are the same size, and these 2 on the back near to the back of the console are smaller. We're not going to need those. You can keep them if you want, or you can just throw them away. That's your prerogative. But the 4 larger screws on the side here, we are going to be reusing them for the installation, so keep track of them. There's 1 here and 1 over on the right. Be a little careful of that red power lead. Just don't go too hard in there and knock it out of its place. And if you don't have the right bit, apparently I couldn't find my right magnetic bit today, you can just use a little bit of another bit to grab those screws right out. And now you will see that we've removed those 6 screws. This drive bracket is free from the actual physical assembly, but the 2 ribbon cables are still attached. So don't rip it out, don't ruin them. You can reuse them for this installation, or I will show you the cables I used, but gently just lift up on them. If they're not going, just try to wiggle them. Don't just pull straight up hard. You could end up tearing something, and we really don't want that. But now you'll see we have the 2 ribbon cables that Fixel supplied in the kit, and watch the orientation. There's one side that's blue and one side that has pins. The blue side is going to go in as follows, and if you draw a line directly down to the bottom of the screen, that is the front of the 3DO. So make sure that blue backing is in the correct orientation. You want the silver side, those pins, facing towards the back of the console where you would plug the video cables in. And now that we have those there, you'll see that we have the silver side on the top as well. They fold right over, and that is the side that's going to go into the optical disc emulation board. If it looks like this, you're going to have a good time. If the blue side is up, you're going to have a bad time. Well, it's not going to be a bad time, it's just not going to do anything, to be honest with you. But now we need to get the actual CD-ROM caddy out. There are 5 screws in the front here, and there's 4 little metal tabs that hold this RF shielding onto the top of there. Just slightly flex them out with your fingernails, you will pop them off, and because we have those screws out as well, we can just reach right down here and remove these 2 metal brackets. Again, you're not going to have to put them back in. Save them if you want them, throw them away if your optical disc drive is broken. And there are also 5 screws in here, quite hard to get to and see, that are going to hold the physical CD-ROM drive down to that metal bracket. We need to pull all 5 of those out. That way we can get the physical drive assembly out of this sled. Be careful if your CD-ROM drive is working, save it, you're going to probably use it. I'm going to repair mine at some point in time, find out what's going on. But now we have this metal bracket, and that is what we're going to put the optical disc emulator into. It's much smaller than the CD-ROM drive, but Fixel's done an excellent job in his PCB layout because we have these 3 holes right here, and they line up to 3 holes on the board itself. The tolerances are perfect. If your carriage assembly is slightly bent, you can wiggle it around, but honestly, this went in perfect. Now, don't go crazy on these screws. Screw them in enough so that the optical disc emulator is not wiggling around, and no firmer than that. I don't think you could probably drive these screws in so hard to actually damage the board, but people surprise me what they do all the time. So honestly, just use a little finesse, you're going to be a lot better off for having done it. But now that we have the optical disc emulation board in that drive bracket, we're getting pretty close to getting this thing reassembled. So we want to put the bracket back in the correct orientation. That metal cutout on the bracket with those bails in the back where you're going to plug in the ribbon cables is the correct orientation. It can be a little bit wiggly to get this sled back in. Just rock it back and forth until it drops down in there, and make sure you haven't bent your RF shield. You don't want it to connect to the bottom of the board whatsoever. It shouldn't, but just check to make sure nothing's touching. We don't want to ground anything out, and we're going to put the screws back into their appropriate places. Now open up that bail onto the ribbon connector, and you're going to go ahead and push this in ever so slightly. It takes very little pressure to get it in, and it was hard not to hide it with my hand. But once you have that cable fully in, it's going to just stop traveling, and then you're going to push that bail back in both directions. That way it's clamping down on that ribbon cable. The little bit on the right, I pushed it off camera, but just make sure it's closed down well. This one does not have a bail, it's just press fit, but again, it's nice tolerances and it slides right in, so just go ahead and push it in and you're good to go. If you use the supplied ribbon cables, at least the ones I got, just gently fold them over and slide them underneath that metal bracket. It's very smooth and it will not damage the ribbons, and that way it gets it out of the way when you're going to put the case back down. You can put a little bit of Kapton tape over the edge to make it even smoother, but honestly there's no way, at least on my bracket, it would damage the cable whatsoever. And it is installed. All we have to do is test it. Don't put the top cover back on before you test. That is just bad luck. Every time I assemble things fully before I test them, I have to go back in. Let's go ahead and power it up with that optical disc emulator in now. You'll see the 3DO logo, and then you're going to get a splash screen, 3DO ODE by Fixel, and it has a mandatory 3-second pause. That's a hardware related thing. But then you're going to get the menu, and I love that background. It looks like a 90s checkbook, and it was chosen specifically because it looks like something that came from the 90s, just like our beloved 3DO. Go ahead, pick your game, hit C, and it's going to start loading up on screen. Don't worry, the image is slightly blending off my PVM, and that's because I actually adjusted it to fit a Super Nintendo that I was recently playing. PVMs are just weird and they like to do that. It has nothing to do with the optical disc emulator. But in real time, the game starts to load up, and then we are in to Escape from Monster Manor, a super fun game, and it is working exactly like I expect. Want to go back to the menu? Just hit eject twice. Want to restart the game? Just hit eject once. I love that that is transposed into that button. You don't need to install any extra buttons for this thing. It just lives inside. But let's go over to the menu itself as a direct capture, and you'll see all the games that I put in earlier on that formatted SD card are here, and we have some other options as well. If you hit X, you're going to get to a menu. You can save your non-volatile RAM, you can dump your system ROM, the font ROM, things that are like important like that. And then there's special thanks to, of course, number 1, 2, 3, and 4 will probably be me actually. If there's a list, Fixel give me number 69. But if you go into Captain Quasar, hit C, we're right into the cutscene. Of course, I'm editing some of the loading up because that's not much fun to watch. But cutscenes are playing perfectly, and in-game everything sounds absolutely spectacular. It's what I would expect, and the loading is faster than an original CD-ROM drive. It's not so much fundamentally so that it's a brand new experience, but it's a great experience. Something like D, an incredible game. If you've never played it, you're missing out. The FMVs run perfectly, it looks great, it sounds great. I would not know that this was an original disc outside of not hearing the disc spinning up and loading in the console itself, so it even makes the unit a little bit quieter. And like I said, it sounds incredible, so go ahead and listen for like 25 seconds and I'll come back and show you how to finish the installation. Sounds exactly like what I expect, and honestly, I think Fixel should have just made this play Killing Time and Killing Time alone, because honestly, what else do you need a 3DO for if not for this incredible game? All jokes aside, the one thing we need to deal with is without the CD-ROM drive in, we have a gaping hole in the front, so we're going to go ahead and pop the fascia off right here. Just use light pressure with your thumb and index finger pushing up, because we don't need the CD-ROM drive, but we don't want a big gaping hole inside as well. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a little bit of glue on the edges and just glue it right into the front on the top plastic shell. That way I can still move it up. I know that people are probably going to make some 3D printed parts to hold it in there better, but for me, a little bit little glue is all you need. And there you go, the 3DO optical disc emulator made by Fixel. Now you know how to put it in, now you know what it does, and now you know whether or not you should buy one. This is an incredible device because honestly, burning discs for the 3DO is very hit or miss. Sometimes they'll read perfectly, sometimes they'll eject entirely and not do anything whatsoever. Fixel has done an amazing job with this board, and if you're interested, I will leave the link in the description below. I get nothing for making this video except the fun of talking about 3DO, a console you should play more of. Sure to that, if you have any questions or comments, I'll leave them down below. Love chatting with you guys. I'll be back next week with a whole host of videos, but yeah, definitely pick this up if you're interested in 3DO. It's an awesome product. Now you know how to put it together, and if you have any questions or need any help, just let me know. We'll see you guys next time. Killing Time's an incredible game, maybe the best ever. Bye bye.